Well, hello YouTube! In today's video, we're going to look at what the Veve community really need, in my opinion. But before we do that, let's go over to the main screen so we can see what's going on in those lovely crypto worlds that we live in. So here we go. Here's the first thing. This is just to show you how easy it is to get scammed, okay? Now, this happened to me the other day. Now, I didn't actually get scammed as such because I put in a lot of things to make sure I don't get scammed, but a few of the red flags I missed completely because I thought I did my due diligence, but it turns out I didn't. And these are stupid little mistakes, like really stupid mistakes, that afterwards when I was looking through, I could see these red flags like blaring out, and I didn't take notice of them when I was actually getting scammed, essentially. So let me tell you the story. You can see here from the screen here, but basically this was an airdrop alert. Now this was actually retweeted by somebody that follows me, and I follow them, and they're a big influencer in the space. So I knew that the retweet was okay, but what actually happened was, as you can see, the airdrop alert is fine. The I can't even pronounce it, and that actually makes it worse, and I'll explain why now. Because these digi things, basically, I knew that they were quite a good thing to get, and I saw this retweet, and I looked at it, and I was like, okay, oh, it'd be good to get one of those. And then I looked at the next tweet down, and the next tweet was the same person, as in the actual person, saying what they were saying about we'll share more info and announce when the snapshot will be coming in the near future to get. And then what happens is, as you look to this other side here, you can see that basically the tweet carries on. And this is kind of a weird thing about Twitter as well. Every other tweet that was in between this kind of just disappeared. And the line carried on to go to this next tweet by, in theory, the right chap. Okay, and you can see it says also a small update about 200 masked villains were left unclaimed from yesterday, available now on the first come first served basis. So I saw this and thought, oh, that's interesting. I'll go to that website and see what's going on. So I clicked on it, and now you can see it says claim here, digigigagu.com. Now, there's a couple of red flags there. Firstly, is that if you look up in the top corner, you can see where the little arrow is. You can see that it's not actually Gabriel Layden, if that's how you say his name. Sorry if I butchered the name, but it's not actually him that's tweeting it. It is somebody else. Now, the reason I followed it is because of the fact that it was in line in the tweets, and I saw it as a thread on Twitter. So be very, very wary of that. Now, you might be looking at it and thinking, well, you're an idiot. You shouldn't do that because that's obvious. And it probably is. But I still missed it completely. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to say. In fact, when you see it come up, you don't even see his full name come up there. That you just see MathGI. And I just didn't notice it because, as far as I was aware, it came from a legitimate user. And it was a thread that was put up by this guy. I didn't look into the piece. I must admit, I didn't look into the NFT or anything like that. I just saw the hype around them and thought, oh, well, if there's some spare ones going, then I'll grab one. And that is the stupid mistake. Now, I didn't make a lot of foolish mistakes, or I did, but I'll explain them now. So basically what happens, I went along to this website. Now, the first thing that happened was my antivirus popped up, and it said that this is a URL phishing site. Do you wish to continue? And I stupidly thought, well, you know, this is probably a false positive on my antivirus because it happens on some other websites that I go to as well. So I just clicked yes, not a problem, thinking that maybe there was a link in there that the antivirus didn't like, because I never really heard of like crypto things being like popping up with antivirus, essentially. So there's the first, another red flag there. So I'm stupid. I should have think. Now, I think the whole reason I still went on with this process is because of the fact that I knew that I was going to connect a burner wallet. No matter what, I was always going to connect a burner wallet. I was going to see what the situation was. Then I was going to transfer ETH into that burner wallet, and then I was going to buy it if I still could. That was the idea, and I guess because of that, I ignored certain red flags as well. The next red flag, even, and this is great, by the way, because this is a thing that I'm really talking about a lot, and I'm trying to big up a lot so that more people get to know about it, and that is the Aurox wallet. Because the Aurox wallet has a thing where if you connect to a site like this, and it detects that it's not the real site. Now, in some cases, it'll pop up, this isn't the real site, but obviously they can't tell if it is the real site or not in some cases as well. Well, in this case, it popped up with a warning and said that this site has just recently been created. Do you still wish to continue? So it actually gave me a warning on the wallet. And you know what's stupid about it? I still just said yes, and I carried on, and I didn't check. And what I should have checked is that the actual website is completely different to the actual website that I was going to, as in the way it is written, the digidagaku, whatever it is, that is spelt just slightly differently. And this is another thing that you need to watch out with. Now I wonder if I sort of knew, in fact, I looked at it and I rationalized in my mind, because I noticed it afterwards. When that popped up, I was like, yeah, no, that's not a problem. And I looked at it and I was like, okay, well, it's slightly different, but I don't see a link on the regular website to do it. So maybe this is a subdomain that they've created specifically for it, because I came from a legitimate post and that's what I had in my mind. And therefore I just went, yep, that's fine. And I went through. In retrospect, all these things are just absolutely stupid. However, bear in mind, I always knew in the back of my mind that I'm going to use a burner wallet anyway. So maybe that was just me thinking, well, it doesn't really matter. I'll just go through and see what happens. So there's a possibility of that as well. But I didn't really think about this till afterwards, to be honest. So therefore, bear all that in mind when you're thinking about it. So not only did I avoid the red flag of the antivirus, I avoided the red flag of the actual Aurox wallet as well, which, as I said, I thought, well, maybe it'll do a transaction simulation. And incidentally, when I connected the Aurox wallet, if I'd have clicked on the link, which I did, I clicked on the link and I didn't have any ETH in my wallet anyway. So there was no transaction simulation to do. The website just did nothing. But instead of thinking, okay, this is something to do with the website itself, I even checked the website, as I said, and I realized that it was two different completely websites. And I thought, oh, maybe this is a subdomain. So I carried on with it. And I thought, oh, it must be something to do with the Aurox wallet. I don't know why that went through my brain. So I went, right, I'll check with MetaMask. So I therefore come out of my Aurox wallet, which would have done a transaction simulation and warned me that it was a phishing site. And I went into my MetaMask. This is how stupid it was. And then what I did was I went to a burner wallet on my MetaMask. I created a new one and then I connected to the site. And then it was only then that I realized that nothing happened on the MetaMask as well. And there was only transactions that I could click on. And basically, if I'd have connected to that site using my MetaMask wallet only, without the Aurox wallet, without anything else, and literally going through all those red flags and with everything on it, I later found out that as soon as you connect to it, it basically drains your wallet. That's what it does. It's a smart contract, malicious smart contract. It drains your wallet completely just by connecting to the site. So the good news is I didn't get scammed because of the fact that I used a burner, and I always had in the back of my mind that I was going to use a burner. However, if I didn't have a burner, if I didn't bother with a burner, I would have lost all of my stuff. And this is something that, I don't know, it was weird. It was just a weird feeling because I know that I got scammed essentially because I got taken to a site that I thought would never happen. I thought, oh, I will always check the link. I'll always think, and in my mind, I was saying to myself, check the link. Right, I checked the link. Oh, wait, it's not the same link. Oh, and I rationalized it in my mind. Being a magician, there's this weird thing. There's a trick that you've probably seen on TV lots of times where there's a knife under one of the cups and you smash your hand down and you avoid the knife. Okay. Now, a friend of mine the other day was doing this trick live on stage and his mind knew where the knife was. He knew where the knife was, yet he still smashed his hand down into it because his brain told him something that his arm didn't do, basically, and he smashed his hand down onto the knife, and it was razor blades, and they went straight through his hand. Now, that is not because of the fact that he's an idiot. It was because his brain was doing something different and rationalising what was going on, and I kind of think this is what happens when people get scammed as well. They rationalise things that are really massive red flags that you don't even realise. So what I'm trying to say, I'm trying to bring this to your attention so that way it doesn't happen to you, but I know that it's going to happen to a lot of people, and unfortunately it already has as well. But one way to avoid this Aurox wallet, I'll leave the details in the comments below. It does a transaction simulation. It warned me before I went there. In fact, it warns you and it gets you to put in your password to prove that it is you, to say, if you want to go to this website, you have to re-enter your password and go across. Now, I did rationalize it, but I knew I was going to use a burner wallet in the end. But above all, make sure you use a burner wallet for any transactions you click on or you want to do if you're minting. However, there's one big flaw in that, and that is that if you are trying to verify your holdings or something like that, then you have to use the wallet that you originally used, or not the wallet you originally used, but the wallet that contains the NFT. And in lots of cases, people put them in their hardware wallet and then they go back to a site to verify their holdings to get an airdrop. And that is when the malicious contract steals everything that's in that wallet because you've essentially given it permission as well. So just bear all this stuff in mind. The good thing about the Aurox, again, is it will do a transaction simulation and it will tell you exactly how much you will lose if you go ahead with that transaction. So I highly recommend getting it. I'll leave it in the comments below, and you get rewarded as well if you use it. So you know, it's pretty cool by all accounts. Anyway, so that is my my little tale of woe there. And I did put a thing out on Twitter, and a few people answered back and said the same thing has happened to them. They saw red flags. They didn't, you know, they just didn't like compute what was going on essentially, and in fact right now unfortunately this just happened to a few people, and one of our very own OGs in the Veve community, and that's Crypto Kaki. He's been in this community for a long time, and unfortunately he had two of his A Kid Called Beast stolen yesterday, and he couldn't believe it basically, and he put it a bit on Twitter about it. And apparently what happened was he got sent a link by a friend that was put in a Discord. Now I don't know if it was in the proper Discord, but either way, it's still one of the, again, you rationalise that it's going to be okay. It came from a legitimate source. It came from a friend of yours. They didn't necessarily realise it was a phishing link. Obviously, he probably clicked on it themselves. He then clicked on it to verify his holdings, and he lost them both. So therefore, you've always got to be careful with these links. As I said, make sure you've got the Aurox wallet. You've got other ones as well. There's loads more coming out on the market. I'm not sure if MetaMask doesn't do a transaction simulation, but it does do a warning now of some kind, depending on what there is. And obviously, you can always go in and read the contract if you know what you're reading. But that's not really in plain English. It's a bit harder to faff around with. But yeah, I'd recommend getting the Aurox wallet if you haven't got it already. And this is one of the reasons why Veve doesn't want to go interoperable. And in fact, David, you spoke about this in the podcast, a brilliant podcast the other day. Matt Gondek, the artist who has done a couple of drops on the Veve platform, he did an interview with David, and David was talking about some of the things, and one of the things he was talking about, well, Matt asked, was about interoperability, and he basically said that they're worried about the whole situation of, you know, people taking their stuff off of the platform and then it getting stolen. And now I understand why they're worried for that for their users, and the reason they're worried for that is because it happens to a lot of people, as you've seen just in the last couple of days. Myself, I didn't lose anything because I was, you know, burn a wallet, but the point is that I very easily could have done. Crypto Kaki lost some stuff. This other chap here lost some. But lots of people lose stuff every day to scammers. And the good thing is that being on Veve in that walled garden, it means that you're not prone to that kind of thing happening, which is very prevalent in the crypto world. And now, the thing about that is that although people will say, oh, you know, well, it doesn't matter, it won't happen to me, or I don't care about that, I just want to be able to take it off and put it on my own wallet. Well, that's fine. But the issue is that then, once your stuff gets stolen, are you then going to go back to Veve and say, hey, this is what happened to my stuff? So the only thing I can think of as a way for them to be able to do this is to put a clear warning, but even that is not going to make a lot of difference, but they put a clear warning that says literally that as soon as you take this off of the platform, that means you lose all your rights to be able to complain or to say anything if this was to go awry, because it's bound to happen sooner or later, and it will happen. And, you know, when this happened way back, for the OGs who know, when we were first in the platform, some people, when they didn't have 2FA on the accounts, some people's accounts got hacked, and the collectibles got stolen, and they managed to get those collectibles back in the end. They actually got them back from the people because it was a walled garden. They were able to do that. But once we go interoperable, they're not able to do that. And a lot of people say, well, interoperability, they need it because of this, that, and the other. And I completely understand that. It is a Web3 thing. It's the thing that people want. Interoperability, they want to be able to hold their stuff on their wallet and feel like it's safe. Which ironically is probably less safe because of the fact that you can literally click on a link, and yes, I know you say, well, it's never going to happen to me, but it is still a possibility. And until it's happened to you, until you feel violated by it, you don't really know. It's a bit like getting your house burgled and then not really wanting to go back in there again because of the fact that somebody's burgled your house, and you feel weird. You feel weird inside, and it's kind of a bit like that as soon as you've been scammed. or almost scammed, as the case may be. But either way, you just feel weird inside, and there's not really much you can do about it. I guess it's, you know, it's like anything, isn't it? It's like when you sell something and it goes up stupidly amounts, you feel stupid because you've just sold it. It's the same thing when you get scammed. You just feel like you've been violated somehow, especially if you lose hundreds and hundreds of pounds, which is happening to a lot of people. So I'm kind of on the side of, I like the idea, or I like, and incidentally, Veve has always been like this ever since the start. When they very first came out, they've never been, oh, we're going interoperable in a minute. In fact, their whole narrative from the very first start, from way back in the days of the Crypto Crow interviews and stuff like that, they were forcing the narrative that you don't have your own key, so you don't have to worry about it. Kids can have this stuff on their phones, and if they lose their phone, they don't have to worry about losing all their crypto assets, because of the fact that all they have to do is put their password back in to another phone, and then it will come up. Now, you could say that same about crypto. In a way, it kind of is like that, but there's a lot more pitfalls. So I understand the whole interoperability narrative, but then I also understand that people think, well, then in which case, just give some sort of warning. So maybe that's what they need to do. They need to give a warning before you take it off the app. You are basically taking away all of your rights to be able to get these items back if they get scammed from you or anything like that. And that's that. And then that way we can move on with the interoperability, which hopefully, from what David was saying, seems to be that they're going to go down interesting routes to get to it. He was talking about, you know, eBay and Amazon are building their marketplaces and stuff like that. So maybe we'll see that's the sort of interoperability we get at some point, rather than it going to sort of OpenSea and that, which incidentally, as soon as IMX implements the OpenSea protocol, or the other way around, OpenSea implement IMX or whatever, then I guess it's essentially going to be interoperable then as well. So maybe they're waiting for that before, you know, taking that leap into it. But, you know, who knows? There's a lot of things that they need to talk about, and that's what we're going to talk about in a bit. But anyway, and incidentally here, this is a perfect example. Carl Wilson, unbeknownst to him, he was actually talking about something completely different here. But what he didn't realise is he put up a screenshot to show how this Digi-Yaiku, because it was in the Super Bowl, and you had to click on it, and you had to, you know, click on the, what's it called, the QR code and everything. I saw people doing it on the TV. Click on the thing to claim your prize, and most people couldn't do it. But what he's saying is that as soon as you did that, you basically gave them your information. Now, that's the thing that happens in, you know, all sorts of things anyway. Facebook, it gives you a pixel, you put it on your website, and then when somebody clicks on your website, when they're roaming around on Facebook or whatever, that pixel detects that they've been to your website, and it will show them adverts based on that. So it's a normal thing anyway. But what he did, unbeknownst to him, is he actually put up a picture and a link, essentially, although he didn't actually use it as a clickable link, of a fake scam version of that website. So therefore, unbeknownst to him, he actually put up a fake one of it. Now, like I said, he didn't do his due diligence because he wasn't going anywhere. He probably just saw this advert, thought, oh, I'll do a little thread about that because it makes sense about the advertising side of it. But he didn't realise, and he actually put up a fake version of it. So if he can get fooled that quickly as well, anybody can get fooled, and that's the thing we're talking about. So anyway, up next is this. This one's a bit of a weird one. This one, everyone's talking about the Veve logo, or the Veve, not the Veve logo, but the this thing here, which is the trademark. That's it, the trademark registration. Apparently, it can't be completed. They've got certain things that they need to add in, and until they add those things in, it can't be completed. And people are saying that this is very deceptive practice and all this kind of thing. Well, I don't think it really matters too much. I was speaking to some other people. They said that the trademark is really US, and that's it. So it doesn't really matter about outside the US for a start. But also, more important, because they're saying this is the reason they changed over. Well, even if they did, why does it really matter? But, you know, people are saying there's a lot of FUD going around. They're saying about it's deceptive business practice, etc., etc. So what would be good is if Veve could address this sort of stuff. Now, one of the things that I think they really need, and that's what I'm going to talk about in a bit, actually, we'll get to that. But someone did do some deep diving on this, and that was Veve1, I believe, is the name. And he says, no opposition to publications, and they're on the 4th and 5th or 6th extension to file the 1B statement of use. Product must be live before the trademark is granted. So basically, they're talking about the Veveverse. So basically what he's saying, essentially, and this is what Omi the Clown, well, he's not really called that anymore, he's called LK. I guess this is why they want the Veveverse live in some capacity by the end of Q1. So that's good news for us. That means that they've essentially got to have that live by the end of Q1, because otherwise their trademark will fall out anyway because of the fact that they've had some extensions on it already. So that's really good news for Veve, because it, well, not for Veve, but for Veve holders, because it means that the Veveverse platform has to be live by the end of Q1. So, and that's coming up very, very soon. So hopefully that will be live soon, and that'll be awesome. But yeah, there seems to be a lot of FUD going on about Veve. But we'll talk about that in a second. So this is something, again, Ivan asked Ecomi Reese, do you know if the gem pool for Omi to gem has already begun accruing with the current beta rollout of the crypto pay-in? Because remember, as Crypto Show 84, he did a great video, very, very short video on his channel. I'll try and link it in the comments below. But basically, what he did was he had it's like The Simpsons. He had like Homer, and then all of the food around him going to Homer. And basically, he transferred it into all of the different things that are going on the Veve platform to go in to the thing. So basically, what he's saying that everything that happens on the Veve platform burns Omi, which is how it's going to be when the OUP comes out. And one of the things is that the Omi to gem is funded by the crypto to gem and other things as well. So it all goes into the Omi to gem pool, and then that is then transferred into Omi to be able to be bought by people with gems. Because if they didn't do that, then the company would lose money essentially, and there will be a big, a big hoo-ha. So the point is that what's happening is that everything is going into that pool. So now, because crypto to gem has now started, it means that every time there's a fee that people have to pay, that fee should be taken out and put somewhere. And again, this is kind of why we need the transparency, I guess, because at the end of the day, we don't know where that fee is going, because they always said, oh, this fee is coming out of the, when you buy something, 10% of it minus fees. And again, we never really got any clarification as such on that. We always thought it was minus 30%, but I believe now it was minus, it wasn't gross revenue, it was net revenue. So therefore you had to take out artist fees and blah, blah, blah and all that. So we never really got a clarification on it in full transparency. So therefore it would be good to get a clarification on this one. So Reese has come back and said, great question. I'm under the impression that it's already accruing as the fee is active, but let me confirm. The good thing about this is that when it is working, they're actually going to put it on a website. So you'll be able to see how much is in the Omi pool, how much is in the pot, and how much people are buying. Now remember that when this gets to, because people are saying it's capped, well, it's only capped by the amount of people that are using the app, from what I can gather. So if there's millions and millions of gems that are sold, obviously, and then that fee then goes into the Omi pool, then that just keeps on going in. There might be a cap per day or something, but I don't think there's a huge cap from what I can gather. But, I don't know on that one. We haven't really had definite clarification on that one, so that will be interesting to find out. Which incidentally brings me to the whole point of the video, which is what we need. Now, this is something that we really need, and I've been thinking about this for a while, because basically what happens is that people come out with a new bit of FUD pretty much every week, or every day. Well, every couple of hours. So the point is, for a start, here's my thing. I don't understand why people feel the need to try and go so hard on a project that they don't feel is working to make everyone believe that that is the case. Because at the end of the day, like, there's a lot of projects out there that I'm not particularly a fan of. I don't really care about. But I don't go and make a point of making an account, like a fake account even, or whatever, go into their Twitter and then start tweeting fuddy bits about them. I just don't take part in their community or whatever. So I don't really understand why some people are in the community just to FUD, essentially, just to try and make life difficult for Veve and for everyone else. Now, I understand the narrative, and somebody said to me that because I've been taking part in it essentially as well, that because I put up, pictures of them saying that these are the heroes we need and stuff like that as a laugh and stuff, then I'm kind of doing the same thing, which is allowing them to be blasé about their timelines and stuff, because I'm not saying, hey, you should be doing this. My view on that one personally is that I don't think me tweeting a picture of them, or or going to a thing and saying hello, or like people getting tattoos, is really making a huge difference as to whether or not their timelines are completed. I'm pretty sure their idea for world domination of collectibles is not being is not being delayed purely because of the fact that a lot of people in the community are happy, is what I'm getting at. So I don't really understand the point of the people who are creating the accounts, making the FUD for no reason at all. I can only assume it's financial gain in some kind of form, in the other way, either to try and buy Omi lower, or something like that. If they tweet about it and it's bad news, then they can at least get people to sell, and then they can buy in lower, and that's their financial gain when it goes higher. I honestly don't know. I don't really understand that side of it, because of the fact that I'm not that kind of person. I'm not the kind of person, even if if I get, if you're really that bothered about helping people to avoid all these things that you say about, when you see a thing pop up about someone, selling this, that and the other, and you can blatantly see it's a scam, then write something about it. Help people that way. Why do you have to just FUD a community of people who are happy with how it is at the moment? And all right, not everyone's happy, but most people aren't wanting to see the same old stuff coming up every single day, a new thing. People get sick of it and they wanna get out of the community for that reason. And the only thing I can come up with is it's financial gain. But I don't know. Maybe let me know in the comments what you think. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of FUDders in the comments now anyway. A lot of people moaning about the fact that I don't know what I'm talking about or whatever. I don't know. But the point is, to me, if you don't like the community and you don't like how the project is going, you cut your losses and get out of it, or just sit on what you've got, wait for it to go back up if it ever does, and then sell it. But constantly complaining about it is actually making your investment go down more, if anything, than thingy. And it's all right saying, oh, we want transparency, blah blah blah. I don't think that's going to make a lot of difference. I think if anything, it makes it worse because people don't want to hear you. There was a space the other day where some people were coming in and trying to, shout their attention across, and they were just getting blocked, and that's what happens to a lot of people who are FUDding, by the way. They just get blocked. I don't really block anyone, but people who don't like it, they just block people. So therefore, you're not getting heard anyway. So surely it's a better way for you to just, be part of the community if you want to, or if not, don't be part of the community. But I don't understand this whole dynamic. But, that's just me, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, I digress. So what we really need is some kind of AMA. Now, I'm not talking about one of those pre-recorded things. I'm talking about when back in the day, Veve used to do AMAs all the time. And what used to happen was it became a hilarious kind of joke in a way. Kay used to come on the mic and he used to say, oh, well, I want to find out about this latest bit of FUD that's happening. And then Veve would basically explain it. And then people would be like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. Or they'd be like, oh, well, I don't like that idea. And then they'd talk about it afterwards or whatever. But the point is that there was always a way to squash the FUD. Whereas what's happening now is since they've moved over to this video format, there doesn't really seem to be a way that they can squash it easily. Because what ends up happening is that people find something and then they sit on that thing, and Veve don't answer them back. Maybe they don't see the details, or maybe they do, but they just choose not to answer them back. I don't know. And they're not being as transparent as what people want, because people want full transparency. So therefore, they start taking their own narrative in a different direction, and that creates a massive community of people who then start thinking, well, why are they doing that? Why are they doing that? So what I think they need is they have to have at least once a month, maybe, or, I don't know. Obviously, they're very busy people, etc., but they have to have some kind of AMA where people actually ask them questions and they answer them honestly, essentially. Because what's happening at the moment is the FUD is getting out of control and none of those questions are being answered. So you've got the questions about the Spider-Man. There was, lots of Spider-Man found on one of the wallets. Now people started talking about the narrative, so now people are saying that it's not a good thing. Some people don't mind. I don't particularly mind too much. I think that even if they bought their own product, which, okay, so they said, oh, it's sold out, but, businesses do that all the time. It's not an unusual thing to happen whatsoever. I suppose you could say, well, then they were changing the narrative and therefore making people want to buy in. But they only did it for Spider-Man. They bought the Spider-Mans, they got them off, and that was it. If they used their own money to buy them or whatever they did, the point is that it was essentially sold out, and they're essentially burned in a way as well. So if anything, it means that your Spider-Man actually increases in value, if you think about it that way, because there's less of them. Because even though those 16,000 odd or whatever Spider-Mans were put away somewhere, they haven't been sold. Nobody's actually gone in there and sold any of them or anything like that, and I don't think they're planning on selling them at a later date. It was more just the fact that, okay, let's get some hype towards this or something like that, And I've heard of lots of projects who do it, and there's lots of projects out there that do the whitewashing thing, isn't there, where they buy their own product for stupid amounts of money to make people think the floor's gone up, and etc. So it all goes on in the crypto industry. It all goes in on any industry in general. So I don't see the big problem with it, but the trouble is that people have created their own narrative, and the FUD is going crazy on that one. You've got the trademark thing. Again, probably doesn't really matter too much, and that's just my view on it, but obviously there's some stuff on that, so then they could talk about that as well. There's a lot of things that people could just literally ask, and then Veve will be able to say, or someone, a representative Veve will be able to say, well, not sure about that, or, well, let's say it's this, and then that way, the community can get their answers. Because at the moment what's happening is Twitter Spaces are going on with different people, and there's lots of arguments going on about what is right and what's wrong, and they're causing their own divide in the community about people who believe and people who don't, and essentially that is creating a massive, massive divide, essentially. So the good news is that there is this that's going on tonight. So I digress very briefly here, and that is Queen Veve. Now, Queen Veve, Laurie Brenner, she does some great interviews if you haven't seen or listened to, because it's on Twitter Spaces mainly, although she did a podcast with Randy Chavez the other day on his channel as well. So if you haven't seen her on them, or if you haven't seen any of her Twitter stuff, then make sure you follow her. She's obviously going to get a lot of people in this one tonight. Now, is she going to ask all of the questions? Probably she's going to try and touch on them. But one thing I will say is that what people don't realise is that when we do these things, as you know, people who do videos and stuff like that, if you were to just literally hammer questions at that person when they first get into your thing, like how some people hammer questions in the what's it called, in the spaces and stuff, then they won't want to be part of your interview anymore. They just won't want to do it. So therefore, it actually works out worse off for you, because you may get some of your questions answered then, but then the next time there's more questions to be asked, they just won't want to do those spaces anymore with you. So it kind of harms the influencer of such, sort of whoever it is as well. So she's not going to hammer him with questions, but she probably will ask him some pertinent questions that people wanted asking. Because she's very forthright with what she asks, and she's very clear and concise when she asks her questions, does a lot of research about it, and does some great interviews. So I'm pretty sure this one's going to be a great one tonight as well, so make sure you click in and join it. It's the Queen's Court, and it's hosting David Yu. But as I said, will all those questions get asked? I don't know. So in this case, because of the fact that it's her asking those questions and you don't know what she's going to ask and stuff like that, I think it'd be great if they could literally have an AMA of some kind where the community get to ask questions like they used to. Simple as that. And yeah, there's going to be some awkward questions, and there's going to be some awkward answers as well, I'm guessing. But normally the good thing about those is that every week people were looking forward to them. It got a massive community together for a start. And also, not only that, in general, it made things flow a little bit easier, because when there was a problem, they found out about it and they could address it straight away, rather than just having people constantly bombarding the Twitter of the same problems every single time. But that's just my sort of idea on it. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Obviously, don't take any of it as financial advice, because crypto goes up, it can make you loads of money, or it can go down, and you can completely lose everything, including your shirt. But that is essentially crypto. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye for now.